Hey, what is going on, everyone? This is Dorrani and James from VG247, and James has been playing arguably one of the biggest releases, one of the most anticipated games coming out this year, Deathloop. Oh man, I'm so jealous of you, James, man.
You should be.
I'm so jealous of you. Oh, dude, how are you finding it? Firstly, elevator pitch. You know the deal. Elevator pitch first of what Deathloop is.
It's kind of a tough one, really, because it looks a lot like Dishonored 2. Obviously, It's from Arkane. Arkane Games, story developer by this point of Dishonored 2. They have an immense amount of pedigree in, I guess you'd call it like the immersive sim genre now, that has its roots in old school like Deus Ex and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think if you had to do a elevator pitch for Deathloop, it would be Dishonored 2, but with more of a focus on action, I guess.
Okay. So, do you know what? I like to hear that more action, because you know me, I'm not actually the biggest stealth fan. I'm not the biggest creep around and do all of that stuff. So that's a plus for me. Okay. There's some gameplay on the screen. So tell me exactly, tell me as much as you can about the gameplay we are watching, where we're at, what system are you playing on?
PS5.
Yep, PS5. And whereabouts are we in this gameplay that we've got here?
So I'd say roughly about 4 or 5 hours into the game. The map that you're watching is Carl's Bay, and I think it's really interesting that you said that you're not the biggest stealth fan, but you're really excited for Deathloop. I think that is a reason to be excited, because a lot of games that encourage stealth and things like that try to push you in a certain direction, but don't necessarily give you a lot of tools to be stealthy, to be undercover, to take things in an exciting way that still makes the game enjoyable to play.
Yeah.
But I think Deathloop is really well designed. In a lot of games say that they give you all of these different choices to do what you want, go where you want, attack every situation how you want to do that. But as we've seen in the Dishonored games, Deathloop is very much in that same vein. It gives you a lot of choice, a lot of variety, a lot of different tools in the gameplay, which is really, really important to actually facilitate that.
Yeah.
And so hopefully you can see from the gameplay that there is a lot of verticality in the environments, a lot of different avenues, a lot of different places to explore. And the main thing that I found about the gameplay in Deathloop, and I say that it's really well designed, that in a lot of games, as I say, that encourage stealth, if somebody gets a hint of a whisker around a corner from across the map, then it is absolutely irretrievably screwed. You're never getting back into. You either have to run away for ages and go and sit under a table for 5 minutes until the alarms reset or something like that. Something that I found in Deathloop is that if you mess up and you drop into the wrong place and you have to have a bit of a scrap with a few dudes, you're kind of seen by that group of enemies, and then that's kind of
sound the alarm to the whole map.
Well, it can do if you let it get too much out of hand, but if you kind of clean it up, in that first instance, you can. It doesn't completely trigger the whole map, in terms of you have a lot more options for a kind of hybrid stealthy and action focused approach. So it's not like, I think in Dishonored 2 there was a trophy for like doing the entire game without being seen by anything and not killing anything, not using any of your abilities and all of that sort of stuff. And it was really kind of it always turned it into like a sort of semi-puzzle game in a way, that you had to plot your path through all of these different things. But Deathloop actually gives you the tools and encourages you to explore both the stealth side of the game and the action side of the game to the fullest within each level that you can encounter, by giving all of these different encounters their sort of own areas to breathe, I guess. So that's the thing that I like most about it, that you feel like you can actually have fun, that you're not grappling against all of the different systems all of the time to try and force your way into having some
tools to
semblance of
actually
fun.
be stealthy. It gives you tools to actually be stealthy. But saying that, is there any sort of guns blazing option? So say, for example, if I just want to run in and shoot everyone on the map, just clear it out, is that possible? Or is that just like, no, not going to work? Is it always, you have to sort of approach it in a certain way, but if it goes left, it goes left, and then you can go guns blazing? Or is that like, can I go guns blazing from the start?
So, like I say, there is a level of flexibility into it, that because when you're kind of jumping guns blazing, you're only kind of triggering 5 or 6 enemies around you at one time. You're not making the entire map magically know exactly where you are at all time. You can do it backwards. You can do it backwards if you want. So we usually approach stuff as like, stealthy, and then if things go sideways, you can jump into guns blazing. But the way that Deathloop's built, you can jump in guns blazing, and then once you've dealt with that first kind of tranche of enemies, you can slip back into the shadows and do something different.
That's what I want to hear, man. That's what I want to hear.
And you definitely can go and guns blazing as much as you want. There are stealthier weapons, of course, like the nail gun that you see me using, the footage that's on the screen at the moment. But there's all sorts of shotguns, assault rifles, that sort of stuff too, that are heavier, better at taking people down quicker. But it's not like a lot of the enemies are very spongy anyway. You're going to be taking people down in a few shots, whatever happens. And Colt, the main character, is a little bit squishy as well, so you're not going to be taking a huge amount of punishment there. So when you're saying, can you go in all guns blazing at all times, you might have to be a little bit careful and a little bit clever about how you use the wide range of mobility skills and all of that sort of stuff.
That's good to hear.
To get around, because otherwise you will get
slapped.
You'll get slapped, exactly.
So one thing leading up to Deathloop's release is the fact that no one really knew what this game was. Like, what are you actually doing? Are you able to clear up what the main sort of gameplay loop for Deathloop is? Because it was giving off, roguelike vibes, but can you clear it up for what it feels like it is to you?
So it's a funny question, because at this preview stage, I generally don't think I can. Because it's very story based and very complicated game in a way. Arkane and Bethesda more generally are being quite protective about what exactly the game is, and obviously that makes it difficult to communicate from both an editorial sense for us, and I guess from a marketing sense for them too, which is a kind of interesting strategy. It's like, buy this game. What is it? Not telling you.
Can't say yet.
Yes. That it would ruin it if I told you. It's like,
but there is a sense that it does look like there is sort of roguelike vibes in there, because you die and you go back to almost a checkpoint as such, as you can see from the gameplay. Is it challenging in a sense of, like, see how Returnal was quite frustrating in the fact that when you died, that was it. You could lose maybe an hour's playthrough because you died. You have to go and redo it again. Did you feel any of that sort of frustration?
So I could definitely talk about this because it's in the footage that you're watching. So the way that in Dishonored you had like the I was going to say Darksiders. That's a completely different game. The insiders powers that you had, like shift, and it was called blink in Dishonored, I think. The way that those manifest themselves in Deathloop is that you have these kind of ethereal, sort of semi-magical things called slabs, and those are the things that give Colt these kind of fantastical powers. And his sort of signature one is called Reprise, and you can see it go off a couple of times when I get stomped by Juliana in the gameplay.
Yeah.
That Reprise slab gives him kind of 2 chances. So when he takes kind of fatal damage, it rewinds about a minute or so till you were a last safe point, and you can kind of reset from there and reevaluate what you're doing and have another go. And that triggers twice before you have like a sharp game over.
Yeah. Okay.
That resets between resets between different. If you manage to beat Juliana in the map that you're playing, that resets again. So if you die twice, then beat her, you get 2 more after that. And so it's quite forgiving in that sense that you get a reasonable amount of chances, and you can use that to your advantage, as we've seen in gameplay previews that they've shown off before, that you can kind of kamikaze into a load of people and then to bunch them up into one area or whatever, and then reset yourself, and then throw a grenade at them all bunched up looking for you or whatever. So it's I don't think that it's necessarily a hard kind of roguelike. I think people say roguelite when it has some similarities. It's tempting. It's tempting in the same way as to say that everything's a bit like Dark Souls, right?
Okay,
we always love to make those kind of comparisons of if something has like checkpoints, or it has or respawning enemies, or it's kind of sword and board combat. However, we like to say it's like very Dark Souls-esque or whatever. If anything has, exactly like you said, kind of checkpoints or starting over from a particular point or whatever, we like to say it's roguelike. But it's not necessarily quite that simple. I think it's a lot more like it's an immersive sim. It's as much like Dishonored as it could be, really. It feels very similar. It has very similar powers, very similar feel, and if there's anything that it's like, it's the previous games that from the kind of Arkane Stable Studios.
They've got a good blueprint to go from as well. But talk me through sort of. I know we can't say too much about this, but from what I've heard so far in the gameplay, I love the voice acting with Colt and Juliana. I'm assuming because you're playing on PS5, because I can't hear Juliana's voice. I'm assuming she's coming through the controller, right? Is she coming through the controller?
This is another thing. Am I allowed to talk about this? Who knows?
Why not?
Literally, who knows? I don't know. Maybe I'm being too skittish. Like, it does.
Yeah, I'm assuming it comes through the controller, because I'm hearing a lot of audio and I'm like, okay, where is that audio? But it sounds really good. It seems like there's a lot of playful banter between them.
Yeah, the voice acting is fantastic, especially as you say with those the protagonist and the antagonist, Juliana.
Yeah,
they're really strong performances, and it's interesting that with I keep going back to it, but with Dishonored you have Corvo, who's slightly less of a character within the world, doesn't talk particularly and all that sort of stuff. Colt is much more of a character, much more of a present character, and a driver within the story, so that gives it a lot more a kind of narrative impetus that you are role playing as that character rather than almost a player analog, I guess. So it's really fun.
That's dope, man. What about, so just to round this up quickly, just 1 or 2 more questions. So Juliana, she attacks you, when you're playing, you're trying to go about your business, and she's like, hello, I'm trying to kill you now. Like, what's the frequency of her coming to invade your game? Is it quite frequent?
Pretty frequent.
Yeah, and I see. So when you die, you can see it in the gameplay that when you die, your body leaves is it residuum? Is that what it's called? Residuum?
Something along those lines.
Yeah, residuum. And you can go back and collect it, right? Because that's like your main form of currency for spending on whatever, I'm assuming. So would it be possible for Juliana to just camp your body, like where you died?
It would be possible, but in my experience, she doesn't do that.
She doesn't do that. But this is because you're playing with this is an AI-controlled Juliana.
Very true.
In the real game, you have the option to play as Juliana and invade people who are playing Colt. So I'm just thinking that'll get quite annoying. But who knows? Maybe there's a workaround to that.
Yeah, maybe there's a workaround. I guess that you have that information, right? So if somebody was trying to camp your body, you'd be able to run around.
Scope her out.
Yeah.
Nah, what I'm seeing, and what you're telling me, and just the energy you came with when we first started this call, it excites me for Deathloop. We've been seeing it for so long now, and I've been so not pissed off, but I've been upset that it's been delayed. But there's no point in them shipping a game that's not ready. So delay it all they wanted to, and it's what, only a few days away, like half a month away, you know?
It's 3 weeks, something like that.
3 weeks. Yeah, for one of the biggest games of the year, arguably. Final thoughts, do you recommend Deathloop from what you've played?
From what I've played so far, I think it is shaping up to really deliver on the promises of the kind of studio's heritage and previous games that we've come to expect from this sort of similar genre. I've really enjoyed what I've played so far.
That's it. That's what we like to hear. Right, we have been Dorrani and James from VG247. I hope you enjoyed this preview for Deathloop. Peace out, everyone.
See ya.
Hey, thanks for watching this video. Consider subscribing if you enjoyed it. It's free and you can always unsubscribe at any time. Take a look at our other videos if you like. Also, check out VG247.com for around the clock gaming news and updates.